is up again, everybody? It's your boy Sizzle Dizzle going hard in the paint again with another review. We got The People Under the Stairs, homie. Directed by Wes Craven. This was the film on the poll that I posted on my channel fairly recently. Most underrated Wes Craven film. This was the one that won out, so that's what we're talking about today. What do I like about it? What do I not like about it? That's what I'm gonna share. Let me know your thoughts on People Under the Stairs in the comment section. While you're here though, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe, and let's get freaky. All right, so positives with People Under the Stairs. One, I gotta say, I do really like the direction and tone that Craven kind of establishes here. The lighting, the cinematography here, I think is really good at creating the atmosphere and the tone of the film. It kind of puts you in a certain type of setting and an emotional feeling. You know, that opening with the tarot cards and kind of creates this eerie type of mood and lets you know you're in a horror film, you're in a Wes Craven film. It's gonna get you're gonna be in for quite the ride. So I thought he did a good job with the mood, the tone, the atmosphere, the cinematography in the film. To me, fits the genre intent of the film. So good positive there. The production design of the house, I really liked that. The house to me feels like its own character. It really is kind of the main character of the film, and I think Craven does a really good job with the actual set design of the house. It almost feels like this labyrinth of all these tunnels and secret passageways and crazy wacky stuff along. It's the walls in the house, the cellar, the basement, all that stuff was designed really well. That again fits and matches the tone of the film. It looks creepy. You kind of get that claustrophobic feeling when you're in the walls with Fool and Alice and Roach. These characters. As they're going through the house, you're Craven does a good job with the production design to make you feel the certain emotional feelings that he wants you to experience along the way. So I thought he did a really good job, directing the production design, the way that the film is shot within the house. The designing the house itself, feeling like its own character, all that I thought was really well handled, and the effects of it are present, and I think he that's a strong positive for me. I like the characters in this. The main group of characters I think are pretty good. Fool is very easy to like. He's got a very charismatic personality. His personality really shines in this film, and for a kid actor, I thought he does a pretty good job at kind of leading the film. He's kind of got to carry the weight of this film on his shoulders, and I thought for the most part he does pretty good. Craven, I think, directs him pretty well, and he's pretty easy to root for. A lot of that personality comes out in the film, and just kind of this entertaining, fun kid, has a good heart, is doing something good, doing something brave, and you're pulling for him. I do find myself investing with Fool and hoping that he gets out and is able to help his mother out as well. So good, strong, central protagonist character there. Alice, I think, is a good character because Craven does a really good job at making you feel for Alice, man. Like just seeing the torture, and the psychological abuse that she takes living with these freaks, just these wacko nut jobs as parents. who aren't even her actual parents, but are child kidnappers. And yeah, I mean, there's some just scenes where you just feel really bad for the girl, man. The scene where the mom just like throws her into the tub with the really hot water, and you can tell she's like burning her skin. She's like forced to stay in there. Just, crazy stuff, man. And so Craven does a really good job making you feel that sympathy for Alice, and caring about her and wanting to see her make it out of this hell house, man, and get out to the real world and live her own life. And so she's a good character for that reason. The performance there is really good. The actress does a really good job at making me feel for that character. The two other side characters that go along with Fool, I forget their names, but they're both entertaining and fun as well. The antagonists, it's just referred to as mommy and daddy, and they're actually just brother and sister, which makes it even more like the subtext of what that indicates and what that implies just is really messed up. And yeah, so really good antagonists, and the performances there are really good. You got the guy that played the werewolf in Silver Bullet, the priest guy in this one, I forget his name, and then his sister, who I've seen her in other things as well. Both of them bring a really creepy and disturbing performance in their roles, man, that really elevates the film. You in a movie like this, you need strong antagonists. Like you need to feel that threat. You need to feel the crazy. You need to feel the psychological horror, and that should come from the antagonist in this movie. And it absolutely does. Like, well executed in that department, because I definitely feel that psychological horror. The tension is well directed when Fool and Alice are trying to get out of the house, or when Fool and his oh man, why can I not remember his partner's name in the beginning? The guy, man, I know him. I've seen him in so many things, but like, Craven does a good job at directing the tension there, like throughout the film in the house. Well directed. And part of what makes tension work is when the threat is believable and when you buy into the threat. And seeing how crazy these two siblings are makes me buy into the threat. And I feel that threat, and the escalation of the plot along the way feels very real and believable. So all that was done really well. So strong characters throughout the film that definitely make me invest and get the emotional effect needed out of the film for me. I like the fact that we have themes in this film that are clearly, able to be extracted and seen. This is a film that has something to say. It's not just an empty, bland film with no meaning to it. It does have clearly distinguished and defined themes that it explores. You got the exploitation of the poor in the film. You have the kind of the danger of abusive power, and it's got, and even it kind of explores how there sometimes there are hidden victims in the systems of power that are being abused, and we see that throughout the film. So yeah, I appreciate when a film knows what it's trying to be and has something to say in the story, in the narrative, versus some movies that, like, and I'm sure we'll probably talk about some of them along the way as we review them. But there are, those horror films I'm sure we all can think of that you're just like, okay, what was the point? Really, what was the point of this movie? Like, what was it trying to say? Did it have anything really of substance in the narrative? I can think of several films like that. So I appreciate when a filmmaker has something that he's pursuing thematically, narratively in the film that he's making. So that's a positive for me. I do like that we have the horror effect present in this film. It's more kind of a psychological horror, but also some imagery, man. Like there are some disturbing images in the film when the brothers like carving the guy open. You just see his insides all cut up, and the hand, some of the mutilated people that live under the stairs. Some good practical effects and some disturbing shots. There and also just that looming a tone and threats throughout the film, does create the psychological horror that is present there. And that's something, again, when I come to a horror film, I want that to be there. And Craven, a master of horror, he's able to include and make sure that horror feeling and horror effect is present. And I like that there is a payoff, an emotional payoff for our characters that feels very earned. When Alice, and when, the people under the stairs, when they finally get free, that freedom feels very earned. These people just went through hell, especially Alice, who's probably in there the longest out of anybody. When she gets free, it feels earned. You're like, yes, good on her. The well earned, well deserved. It's a payoff. It's a well earned payoff for the characters and for the plot of the film. So that's also a strong positive for me. As far as negatives go, I will say that for me personally, I don't find this film super rewatchable. Not necessarily due to anything that's like horribly bad in the film. It's more like it's not fun enough for it to be like super rewatchable. It's not emotionally moving enough to be impactful, and there aren't the character and dialogue aren't written enough, aren't iconic enough to be really memorable or quotable. So because of that, I don't have this urge to come back and watch this movie very often. I don't, it doesn't linger with me. It's not a movie I think about all the time, because those things aren't there. A movie that's really fun, it's a movie that you want to go back to when you think about it. You're like, yeah, that's a really fun experience. I want to go back and experience that ride again. This movie isn't fun enough for me to be really rewatchable. A movie that has a really strong emotional effect that moves you in some way is impactful. You're going to remember the impact that emotional effect had on you, whether it moves you in some way or another. You remember that emotional impact lingers with you with a movie that has a strong emotional punch to it. And then, a movie that is really quotable or really memorable is going to come from either the characters or the dialogue. The dialogue could be really, really quotable dialogue, or the characters in it could just be really memorable characters that stand out for you. So because this film doesn't quite hit to a very high level on those three, it's not that high of a doesn't have that high rewatch value for me. Now that's not to say that when I watch this film I don't enjoy it. I do. I do enjoy this film. I do like it. I do know that when I sit down and commit to watching this movie, I'm gonna enjoy it, and I'm gonna have a good time. But the rewatch value, that urge, that impulse to come back to this movie often is what doesn't quite land for me. So I gotta, I gotta deduct some points there, personally. And then I do think that there's a little bit of some editing issues in the third act. We watch Fool get out of the house, make it out. He escapes. He jumps off the balcony into the pool, goes off. He pays the money for his mom to get, the surgery done, to move out, I guess not move out, but basically pays her rent for the next several years. And that itself feels like a conclusion to the plot. That itself feels like an earned victory. And then we go back into the house, to go fight the bad guys and save the girl type of thing. So it almost feels repetitive after the climax, or after the payoff is already earned, or after the plot is already paid off, I should say. We then go back and repeat essentially that same plot, into the third act, and it feels a little repetitive, and it feels a little bit like they're undercutting the plot payoff that had already been, kind of earned from the second act. So just a little bit of an editing issue. I feel like there could have been a better way to bring all that in together without having to be repetitive and going backwards from what was already paid off and earned, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. But yeah, that's when I watch this film, I'm like, I almost feel like this is undercutting a plot that was already paid off. So now we're basically going back into the house just to have to escape again, type of thing. So, that's just me personally. And then I feel like the plot armor for the antagonists are a little strong. Like they're basically holding these people under their stairs that have been there for a long time, years, maybe weeks, months, but they're not getting fed. They're not getting water. So how are they still even alive, really? Like, we don't get an explanation. Like, I highly doubt, based on what we see by the siblings, the brother and sister, I would highly doubt that they're feeding these people under the stairs. They don't, they have there's no love loss for, these people under the stairs. So I would be really hard pressed to believe that they're caring enough about these people to feed them. So it's like, then it creates this logic issue where it's like, okay, if they're not getting fed, if they're not being taken care of, how are they still alive anyways? You know what I mean? It just feels a little like too strong plot armor. And then the fact that nobody has come looking for them, like where no one's reported, like we see the police show up a couple times, but it just feel like with that many people going missing, and apparently several people in the town knowing about these freaks, I don't know. Maybe you guys don't have a problem with it, but for me, in my brain, I'm like, I feel like that's a bit of a stretch, a little too big of an ask for me personally. But that's it. Overall, my overall rating here, I'm gonna give The People Under the Stairs a 3.5 star review. I do really like this movie. I do think it's, it's very entertaining when I do watch it. I am entertained with it. It's got a lot of strong positives working in its favor. Certainly more positives than negatives. for me. And I do think it's one of those Wes Craven films that doesn't get the love maybe, or doesn't get talked about maybe as much as it should, because I do really, I think this is a really good film. Wes Craven, discussions, you usually hear movies like your Scream movies get talked about, Nightmare on Elm Street, Hills Have Eyes, Last House on the Left. Those are really the main Wes Craven films that people love to talk about and stuff. But I feel like People Under the Stairs is one of those that is really good, but doesn't really get talked about as much as some of those others. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5. That's my overall score for People Under the Stairs. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And until next time, you freaks, kick it and rock on.